So I became conscious of one of my mental patterns and a set of beliefs this weekend. Uncovering beliefs and becoming aware of them is super interesting to me because they're like programs that we have running in the background that can completely shape the direction of our life. So in the summers, my wife and I have a good amount of time spent alone because our kids are either at summer camp or spending time with their grandparents. This week, that time came to an end and they came home. This event made me realize that in the past, I've conflated a few different things. I've mixed up a truth on one hand, along with beliefs that are not true on the other hand. The truth is that there is less freedom. There is much more work with kids around. And the main truth is that there's just way less mental space. There's way more opinions. The more people there are in a family or in any group, the more preferences you have to manage. And it just takes more mental effort to do basic things. The part that I realized recently, the part that I conflated, the part that's not true, is a belief that I have no time for myself anymore to do the things I want to do. I realized that a belief like this leaves me feeling stuck, thinking that these are circumstances I just can't change and it's just going to be like this for years. It puts me into a vicious cycle of I'm powerless because I have no time for myself. If I don't have any time for myself, then I'll have no time to work on my side projects. And that means they'll never become my main projects. If my side projects never become my main projects, then I'll be stuck in a 9-to-5 forever. If that's true, then I'll be under others' power forever. I'm powerless. And then different things feed into this cycle to keep it spinning. And I notice when I'm in this mindset, I can become super reactive and treat any request of mine like it's an assault upon me, even the smallest question or task, like it's an infringement upon my rights. The dumb thing is if I actually had 100% of my time, I probably wouldn't spend it all working on my goals. Like if I was single with no kids and I had all of my time to allocate how I chose, I would probably be wasting a lot of it. Or spending that extra time trying to find a wife to have kids with. You know, the grass is always greener. The point being that I don't actually need as much time as I think I do to work towards my goals or my dreams. It's also really interesting how the mind will look for things to reinforce its own state, whether positive or negative. I guess that's probably confirmation bias. For example, the main thing I was worried about was not being able to make videos and work on content. And I had been looking forward to being able to spend a week alone because I'd be heading home to work on our house while my wife stays in Cape Cod. And that would leave me a lot of time to get work done. But it turns out a hurricane was coming, so I wasn't just going to leave my family. And on top of that, my phone broke, which is what I use to record my videos. So these events just fueled the belief of I'm powerless or I have no control. So what is the way out? The thing about feeling powerless is that it's insidious. It becomes self-fulfilling. So if you're caught in its snares, you're likely to feel powerless about doing anything about being powerless. I think it can be helpful to do an easy mood shifting activity, a mood shifting action, because if your mind state changes a little bit, you'll probably be a little more receptive to the possibility of there being a way out. So for example, an easy mood shifting behavior for me would be to eat some food, take a warm shower, and then drink some coffee. Doing some exercise or a cold bath would also be really helpful, but that's not exactly the path of least resistance. Once you have that basis laid, the real thing that you need is just an awareness that it's happening, an awareness of the fact that you are feeling a certain way. And I don't know exactly how I became aware of it. It might just be part of my nature as a reflective person. But I know a part of it was having the contrasting experience just a few days prior of being inspired and really excited. So I thought if that inspiration was just there, and I believe my ideas and strategies that created that inspiration, generated that feeling in me, are still relevant, and I still believe they'll work, then there's some other reason besides truth or fact that that feeling or that those thoughts, that state went away, and it's possible for it to come back. So how do I get it back? Also, I've noticed the state of powerlessness can just lead me to feel powerless over things that I actually can control. It can lead me to give up power in everything. It can change my default mode to helplessness. For example, in the past, even on weekends, I would think I have no time to work on what I want to work on because I have all these commitments. And I do have a lot going on when you have a family and kids and a day job. But I know now that that feeling or mindset was also related to not having my foundation set. And when I say having my foundation set, I mean two things. One, or it's not really separate, but just the mortal realization of I'm going to die, so I better start working towards the things that I want now so I don't live with regret. And then that realization just led to an intrinsic commitment to that vision. And once that vision was clear, I was able to know at any point in time on any day what I could be working on. Even with just like 30 minutes of time, with 15 minutes of time, I would know in that moment something that I could work on. Before my vision was clear, 30 minutes is a lot easier to waste because you don't have a clear idea of a task that you could be working on. So for me, when those chunks of time would arise, it would be overwhelming to try to figure out what I should prioritize. And a lot of times in my past, I would just feel really frustrated, feeling like I had so much potential and so many things that I could be working on, but feeling like I just had to sit around and wait because I didn't know what to work on. When in reality, if I would have actually admitted what I wanted to do, not let fear hold me back, but once I committed to my genuine vision, as corny as that sounds, I knew what I could be working on at any moment in time. But back to feeling or thinking that you're powerless, in reality, we actually have way more control than we think. Like I could just talk to my wife and say, I need 1 or 2 hours today to focus on X, Y, and Z. And if that causes some conflict, then deal with that also. Or if we need to take turns and she needs her own time also, then make an agreement. But if you want to get really real, I have the power to leave my whole family and reclaim all of my time. That actually is in my control. Now there would be consequences and I would never actually do that, but I do have that power. So maybe I dial it back a little bit and claim my power in a more practical way. But knowing this to be truth could maybe help someone operate from that place of power and focus on the things that they actually can control.